Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Leah and this is True Crime and Beauty on Tuesday. If you are new here, I'm glad you decided to join me. I try to cover random true crime cases that have been in like TV shows or movies or been inspirations for these TV shows or movies. And that's just how I started off this series. Starting off with the American Horror Story crimes in there and their relationship to reality, and kind of moved on and realized that a lot of things, a lot of characters in different movies have been inspired by real crime. Today we will be covering the Preppy killer. That comes from AMC series, which is called Death in Central Park. The reason why it came about being from the Preppy killer is because it was in an era of 1986 where they had like the little polo collared shirts, and it was everything like guys dressed like kind of preppy and really kind of, if you like look back on the style back then. And this guy was like a really clean cut, just well-known guy, and his appearance was very deceiving of what lied beneath. So we're going to go ahead and just jump on into this case, and while I do these cases I do put on some makeup to try to keep my hands busy, and I also try to tell you what I'm using. If I don't verbally tell you what I'm using, I will put it in during editing so that you know what I'm using, and I also list it below in the description panel. As always, if you really do enjoy this, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and also hit the thumbs up button. And if you have time after that, hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time I upload. I'll give you a little disclaimer. These are true crime stories, and thus they have adult content in them, sometimes adult language, and definitely adult situations. We're talking about murders and sexual assaults, along with other things in that nature. If this is something that triggers you, or you are not of age and should not be watching it, please click to a different video. You will not hurt my feelings, and also mind your mental health, because that's what's the most important. Anyways, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. The Preppy killer was actually a young man by the name of Robert Emmett Chambers Jr. He was born to, obviously, Robert Emmett Chambers Sr., and his mother's name was Phyllis Chambers. They were by far not a well-to-do family, but they made ends meet, and Robert Sr. and Phyllis did everything they could to take care of Robert and to make sure that he was given everything that he could want and need. So Robert was also born on September 25th of 1966. And I believe that makes him a Libra, if you're interested in that kind of stuff. Some of you guys asked me to tell you what it is, and other. Now, Robert's father was a video cassette salesman. That was even a new one to me, and I didn't know that that was like something they did. I don't know if it. I'm trying to think like maybe like Blockbuster or something along that line. And Miss Phyllis, she was a private nurse. Now, her being a private nurse offered really great opportunities for her to kind of get to know people, and that was like she was doing private nursing for very up and up people, like including the Kennedys, and this offered the opportunity for like play dates with Robert and John F. Kennedy Jr. This was after she had treated little John F. Kennedy for some bronchitis, and they were like, hey, come over for a play date. Let's have some fun. Get our kids together. Sure, no problem. Our kids are the same age. You know how you are as a parent. And at the time, they were a diligent family, working family in Queens. And I forgot to say, he was born in New York, New York. But sadly, Phyllis and Robert decided to divorce, and that was sad, you know, kind of a bummer. But they did work to be like really good parents regardless of being together or not. Now Miss Phyllis, you know, she was the private nurse, so she was working with some prestigious people, and she would work her tushy off to get him into all the best schools and the most prestigious schools, because she wanted what was best for her son, just like any parent would. She did have some help with some scholarships, which is great. Scholarships are great to help out people who don't have the finances to send their kid to private school. Trust me, those things really help out a whole lot, because private schools are expensive. Even in my small town, they're expensive. He went to schools like York Prep School, Boston University, I can't pronounce this one, Chayote, Rosemary Hall, St. David's School. He was not lacking in the uppity looking classes and schools. And the lack of money, like obvious lack of money, literally started taking its toll on Robert as a young man. So he's actually really jealous of his other students that had a lot of money. But the thing is look, I'm just going to be real with you. That's not those kids' money. That's their parents' money. Their parents that's where like these rich kids get this confusion in their heads. That ain't your money. That's your parents' money. You did nothing for that money. That's your parents' money. They're just giving it to you because they want you to enjoy it well. Not sorry. It just is what it is. But you know how kids are, and so he would get together with some of his other friends that weren't exactly making, you know, didn't have the amount of money that some of these other kids had, and they would like go to parties, and you know, there'd be a coat room, and they would go in and rob the pockets of the coat room to get money. And by this point in time, Robert also developed a really early on like drug, like cocaine and heroin habit. And some people say as early as 10 or 12. You know, he was just trying to support that habit. That's what this kind of came from. They said that this was part of him trying to support his habit. And so he would just do like little petty theft, even from his own friends or girlfriends. Didn't really matter to him who he was stealing from, as long as he was supporting his habit. So he was having some trouble socializing with peers, other than the ones that he was using to work his con and help him steal from other rich kids. Like, he really had this inferiority complex. That's what I'm seeing here. I don't know if anybody else is seeing that, but I'm already seeing the buildup of an inferiority complex for sure. So Robert was struggling to find his place in this high society of the Upper East Side. Well, he wasn't really rich, but, you know, they had this apartment because after her parents died, his mom's parents died, you know, they had this nice apartment on the Upper East Side. So it really helped with the facade that he wanted to embrace and show off to everybody. So today for this look, we're going to go ahead and jump into the Morphe Fierce by Nature Artistry Palette. Even into his college years, Robert he was having issues. He couldn't get it together. His alcoholism and drug use got worse. He could not get it together. Even though his mom worked her tail off to get him where he was, he just could not keep his act together. His socializing was getting increasingly worse, which is sad and unfortunate, but he was just getting worse and worse. But I think that had a lot to do with the fact that he was increasing his drug and alcohol consumption. And that just made things worse. Now, he was like about, I don't know, 6'4" or so, dark hair, light eyes, good looking chap. Like, he really had that going for him. But it just wasn't enough for him. He wanted everything. Like, he wanted the money. And so he would put on a facade that he did come from money, not being proud of how hard his mom was working to overcome and support him. But he did not, I don't know if he really appreciated that. Otherwise, he wouldn't acted a fool, don't you think? Continued his petty theft and drug use issues, and he literally got kicked out of Boston College within 1 semester. I mean, come on, dude. You couldn't have just stuck it out and worked hard for your mom? No, he just had to act a fool and was kicked out from using a stolen credit card. So I'm guessing he stole it. I mean, that's like a no-brainer there. Like, he stole it. Let's just be real, okay? We're not children. We're not stupid. He probably stole it. He continued crimes such as petty theft and burglary, and just could not hold down any type of regular job. Maybe he felt like he was entitled. Maybe he was the epitome of entitlement. Maybe that's what it was. He just felt like he should automatically have everything that these other kids had. No, you gotta work for your stuff, dude. You gotta work for it. And he was also like an angry person. You know how you just know someone and they're like an angry person? Well, he was definitely an angry person. And his alcoholism and his drug use did nothing to help that, except in a negative way. One night at Dorian's Red Hand, which was a local hangout for kids, even if they were underage. It was a bar, and they, the kids went there and they hung out. And from what I understand, they could be served even though they were underage. And I did see that in an interview with Miss Alex Kapp, who comes into play later on, or she comes into play, and you'll understand her relationship. She actually is an actress now and has done other things. And one of the shows she did was New Adventures of Old Christine. You know, she's pretty well known for her abilities. She was really young during this time. Well, she was about 15, 16 years old. So one night, back to the story. One night during just probably a drunken stupor, he got a summons from the court, Robert did, from the police officers at Dorian, outside of Dorian's. But he decided that he didn't want to deal with that. What he did decide to do was he decided to tear it up and shout insulting and derogatory comments to the police officers. And I'm not going to repeat them. But yeah, I did read them, and it's just like, why, bro? Why? Why'd you have to just like go all there? He just had a spitter and spout off at the mouth. It's like he definitely had some anger issues. Definitely had anger issues, needed to get it together. He just could not get it together. He just had so much attitude. You know, some people that just have so much attitude and they cannot get it together. That was him. Now, there are some conflicting stories when it comes to this next little bit. And Robert couldn't hold down a job for nothing. She did say that there was like a altercation between her and him the night of the murder. And she said that like her friend had given her a bag, like a lunch bag of condoms but they were her friends, and her friend didn't really want her parents to find out that she was doing the deed, you know. So Alex was stuck holding the bag, literally. And she had been waiting and waiting and waiting for Alex to Robert to show up, and he was like hours late, and she was pissed. So she threw that bag of condoms on him, and it just went everywhere. And she thought, she had mentioned in one of her interviews saying that when she threw the bag of condoms, she figured they'd fight, and then they would make up again. You know, so she was like, use them with somebody else. You're not going to use them with me, bleh, you know, kind of throwing them at him. And so she got mad and she left. Okay? She had no real idea of what was going to transpire. She didn't know at all. And it's not her fault. Now, I saw one interview where she felt like she held some guilt to it, but it wasn't her fault. It was going to happen, and it might have even been her that this happened with. But luckily, for her, it was not her who ended up seeing his really, truly bad side. During that night, they had been at Dorian's hand, hanging out or whatever. For the whole throwing the condoms at him, they had been there, and a girl had come up to Alex at the time, and she really didn't know who she was, but the young lady was very friendly, very sweet, dark-haired, and gave her a friendship bracelet. It was someone that she had seen around but never really got a chance to meet, and she just gave her a friendship bracelet, and Alex was caught off guard, but she was really thought it was really sweet and kind, and the girl was around 18 years old. Well, it turns out that was Jennifer, and this was before Alex and him had gotten to a fight that night. So there was no jealousy issues or anything like that Alex had. It was just simply she got into a fight with him later on because he had left and then didn't come back for hours for her. And she felt like, in one of her interviews, she felt like she had angered him. But, like I said, it was going to happen. It was bound and determined to happen one way or the other. He was just a volatile person. And you didn't have nothing to do with this. It wasn't your fault. It was all him. Let's place blame where blame needs to be. And it's not on her. It's not. So after Alex left, apparently he decided to chat it up with Jennifer. Today we're going to use 2 primers. We're going to use the Hydrating Plumping Serum Plus Primer, NYX Plump Right Back Primer. And to fill in some little bit of pores, visible pores, we're going to go ahead and use the Essence My Skin Perfector Tinted Primer. And this is in the shade Nude Beige. It is also said that, I think I mentioned this before, but I'm not sure, that it is possible that Robert and Jennifer actually dated in previous times, but they weren't dating now. So it's trying to establish they probably knew each other. So it wouldn't be unusual that they would be together or even to chat. So after Alex had left, she was pissed off at him, so she left and went home. He had hung around Dorian's red hand and ended up meeting up with Jennifer again and started chatting with her. Nobody really knows what they were chatting about, but they were seen leaving Dorian's hand together on the night of Jennifer's murder. During the wee hours of the early morning of August 26, 1986, Jennifer's body was found by a bicyclist on his way to work, and she was found around 6:15 in the morning. First, her body had been so, it was so twisted and covered in scratches that it looked like she had been mauled by an animal. She had. It just wasn't a furry type. Thankfully, the motorcyclist found her and called the police. But by the time they had arrived, they could definitely say that she had already passed on. She was found with the her top up, her bra off. Her bra was around her throat, kind of in a way. And it had a wire in it, so it had been around her throat. Obviously, that was one of the things used to strangle her. There was no doubt in my mind that this was a very jarring scene to come across. The bicyclist was just on his way to work and to find a dead body. You don't walk around thinking you're going to find a dead body. Let's just be real. We don't think we're going to just walk outside and find a dead body, but apparently that's what he did that morning on his way to work. And the area in which she was found was in the Central Park area between 5th Avenue and 83rd Street, behind the Metropolitan Museum of Art, around that area. So if you're in New York, you can kind of figure that out. I've never been to New York, so I don't really know, but I'm kind of giving you the vicinity area concept-wise. And today for foundation, we're going to be using the new Tarte Shape Tape Cloud Coverage with broad spectrum sunscreen SPF of 15, and this is in the shade Light Neutral. Her body was just covered in scratches when they found her. And when I say scratches, I mean like everywhere. She had bite marks, she had scratches on her. That's why they thought she had been mauled by an animal. And like I said, she had been, it just wasn't the furry, creature type. There was severe bruising around her neck, claw marks, bite marks, bruising. They knew that this was a severe fight for survival type of situation. She had, because at the end, they said that at the end it seemed like she was trying to pull away the thing that was strangling her, which was her bra, and her so much that her nails were actually bruised with the force that she was trying to save her own life with. I mean, she did not go out without a fight, and that is sad, but it's also like that girl was not going down without a fight. And let me tell you what, she took it out on him too, because he was covered in scratches when they found his behind as well. However, creepily enough, homeboy stuck around the murder site until the body was found. Yeah, and this actually happened in a situation that I actually know about in real life. And they actually talked to the news reporters and everything. It's just, what kind of, I don't know. But yeah, he stuck around. It's like, did he get off on seeing them find it? Was he excited about them finding her body? Like, what the heck is wrong with him? Like, he legitimately, something is, tweaked negatively in his manner. But yeah, he stuck around. And it said, 50 yards away, that's where her underwear was found. 50 yards away. Get out of here. What the heck? I don't even know. For concealer today, I'm going to go ahead and dive into my Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. And these are by Too Faced, and this is in their Born This Way collection, and this is in the shades Porcelain and Swan. Like I was saying, it is said that he just hung around and watched the police show up and handle the crime scene. And then, because he was so jacked up from his little situation. And this is why, and also there's another reason why I think he was still there. I think he didn't have time to leave quite yet, because he maybe was admiring the situation, but also because she was actually found to have passed on at around 5:30 in the morning, and she was found at 6:15. So yeah, should he have gone away by then? I would think so, but he also could have been lingering. I have done enough of these now that I realize that they linger around. They want to see what's going on. They want to see if anybody has caught on to them. Even to be so bold as to just be there, to see the interactions and see what their actions have caused and the upset. I mean, some people are just sick, okay? There's no real idea of why he stuck around. It's just that he did. Maybe it was to see how people reacted to their findings. And we're going to go ahead and add some Swan right here to brighten it up. So she had just passed away right at 30 minutes before that cyclist had come up. And yeah, I'm going to say it, if he had just shown up just ever so slightly sooner, she might still be alive today. Isn't that crazy to think about how time frames really change the course of everything? For setting powders today, I'm going to use my Too Faced Ethereal Setting Powder and my Morphe Bacon Set Brightening Pink. Being that the people at Dorian's already seen him with Jennifer, homeboy still tried to deny that he was even with her. And then when he was told that he, hey, yo, you were seen with her, he was like, oh, okay, well, we walked outside and she left pretty quick to go get cigarettes. Okay, Robert, but she doesn't smoke. Okay, well, maybe she didn't go get the cigarettes, but she did leave really quick after we left. We walked outside of the bar. We parted ways. Okay, but where'd you get those scratches on your face? Oh, my cat. My cat did these scratches on my face. You mean your declawed cat? Yeah, he scratched my face. Like, Robert was just scrambling. He was flip-flopping stories all this way and that way, and he was going every which way he could, trying to get out of this. I mean, his butt is guilty when he's got 35 different directions that he's going every time you ask him a question. But with Robert flip-flopping all around like a dying fish without water, he really legitimately, I mean, like, I really kind of can't with this guy. He just kept flip-flopping. I mean, dude, you're busted. Talk about it. Well, he was just not even ready to talk about it. So he kept flip-flopping for a little minute longer, right? Okay. So he kept flip-flopping for a little minute longer. And he finally gave in. But he didn't give in fully. Things just weren't Robert's fault. Okay? So he said that they had left the bar together and that she had been very pushy with him about having sex. And she continued to be pushy with him and continued. So much so that he said he had his hands behind his back. Mind you, homeboy's 6'4", 225 pounds, somewhere around there. Big dude. And this chick's like, yay high. And she's like, look, women can be the aggressor too. But in this particular case, she was not the aggressor. He was trying to paint her as the aggressor. Not just that, but because she had a previous history of being a bit promiscuous, it kind of painted her in that light that she was the aggressor in this and that she's the one who did, like, pushed him and kept pushing him for this. And so he was like, then he said that, like, that he gave in to the sexual demands of Jennifer and that they ended up having sex in the park, and that she actually died because they were having some rough sex and, like, playing with some breath play and choking and all of that, and that she had passed away during that, and he just didn't know what to do during that situation. And so, because he wasn't expecting her to die during it. So the media grabs hold of this and we're just going crazy all over this, just all over. Who could make the worst statement out of this? Rough sex in the park, just completely just the Preppy murder, the Preppy killer, the this, that, rough sex, scandalous sex. People wanted to see how lewd they could get with this. Like, the media was in a frenzy. And it was just heartbreaking because you have a young lady that is 18 years old who has died because of this man. And there's just news after news after news that is just not setting her in the most flattering light. Like, this is almost like it's like her fault, which rape on any hand, whether it is by male or by female who is the perpetrator, it is not the victim's fault. And is not their fault, and is not their responsibility to make them be credible. And the news and everything had just like gone unhinged. This was like an unheard of area where they wouldn't normally have things like this, and it was just they were just set up into a blaze to have fun with this name, finding a new name for this. So now they are just dragging her entire reputation through the mud. And she's not even around to defend herself. They talked about a sex diary. They talked about all kinds of things. Of course, this guy was talked about what a great guy he was, what a great family he came from. Of course, it couldn't be his fault, right? However, he was booked because once he admitted to saying, well, it had been rough sex and she had perished from the rough sex, that was still, she was still dead by his hands. And so upon booking, he was able to see his dad. And upon seeing his dad, one of the things that he did say was, that effing bitch, why didn't she leave me alone? Now, I don't know why he said that. I don't know. Nobody knows if, this is before, all this CCTV stuff and everything. With that statement, I'm wondering, if maybe he was leaving and he was upset because his little altercation with his girlfriend, and that maybe he, she was checking on him to see if he was okay, and he was no, leave me alone, but she was trying to be a good person and check on him because maybe he seemed visibly upset. That's my guess at why that statement would have come across like that, because, and if she was just trying to be a good friend, he could have just handled his own self. Go home, handle yourself, take care of your own needs. Don't take it out on someone just because you're all aggravated. I don't understand. That was something that he said, and I would think that would find it'd be very incriminating, wouldn't you? I'm going to go ahead and use some Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer in the original to go ahead and just warm up my face some. There was no doubt that the media was having a ball over this. But Jennifer Levin's family was not having a ball over this. They had lost a daughter, a family member. This was not a joking matter. They were heartbroken. She was only 18 years old when Robert took her life. The prosecutors thought maybe that this was going to be more of a cut and dry case because of all of the evidence against Robert. There was so much of it, including DNA testimony, or DNA evidence against him. But DNA was not 100% at that time, so it wasn't like the courts could just be oh yeah, bing, yeah, that's him for sure, definitely 100%. DNA puts him there, says he was it. It wasn't like that. It's not at all as advanced as it is nowadays. For blush today, I'm going to go ahead and use this beautiful palette by Makeup Revolution, and this is the Ultra Blush in Hot Spice. They were trying. The prosecutors really, really wanted to do this for, to get justice for this young lady whose life was cut short so fast. But the defense had a different plan. They were like I said, they brought up her sex diary, her promiscuities, and later on, that was found, like, later on nowadays, they can't use that as a reason to go against someone in, like, be held against, like, a victim in the case. They can't do that anymore, which is great. They can't use that anymore. I will tell you that the case only lasted 13 weeks. And there was a person that was called Alandi, that actually ended up testifying at the case. And this person was, like, a really important person in the case. They were really smart when it came to, like, strangulation type issues. And obviously that's what this was. This was a strangulation case. And during the testimony of Alandi, they talked about the bruising that happened around the eyes. There were little small hemorrhages. And any of you who know about strangulation, or even have watched shows on it, you know, like CSI or anything really like that. Anyways, so when this person got up to testify, Alandi, they talked about those hemorrhages in the eyes that could only be caused by strangulation. It was a huge indication of the constriction in the blood vessels in the neck through strangulation. And that's what makes them, like, pop and makes you, like, sure that that's how the person died. With Alandi's testimony, that proved that that is how Jennifer Levin was murdered, was through a strangulation. Now, after 9 days, not 9 minutes, not 9 hours, 9 days of deliberation, the jury was still not coming to a verdict. So it's like, did he do it? Did he not do it? Did he do it? Did he not do it? If he did it, then okay, what are we going to charge him with? There's a lot of things that have to come into play here, right? Well, out of the blue, there came a plea deal. Yes, a plea deal. So this plea deal came into play. Now, I don't know if he thought, hey, I'm not going to win this, or what. Usually that's when they kind of come into play, because they know they're not going to win. So they're kind of like, let's see what I can get away with here. So the plea deal was that he was going to plead guilty to first-degree manslaughter, and he would get 5 to 15 years in prison. Usually a plea deal that involves, like, manslaughter like this, which is 5 to 15 years, he would usually serve about 2/3 of his actual sentence. But not Robert. No. We thought he was gonna, and you're gonna think, oh no, did he serve less? I know, I can hear it. I can hear it right now. You're like, oh gosh, did he just get off, like, serving 2 years? No, he was such a pain in the butt in jail that he ended up serving the full 15 years. He sure did. He served the full 15 years because his butt was such a pain. And of course, for setting spray today, I'm going to use my Milani Make It Last. That's why I have it in such a big bottle. I love it. I'm just going to go ahead and set it down. Then I'm going to use my fan to dry down my face a little bit. Don't be scared of setting spray. You're just melding all the products together. Well, anyways, he served his full 15 years, like I said, and he was released on Valentine's Day of 2003. The end. No, just kidding. Because you know his butt didn't stay out of trouble. It just didn't. No, it didn't. He couldn't stay out of trouble. You're probably thinking, oh my goodness, this is so long. Leah, can you wrap it up, please? Well, I am. I'm getting there, okay? So July, just a few years after he had been released from jail, he was arrested again for misdemeanor drug charges. Remember, he had a drug and alcohol problem. He ended up serving 90 days in jail and paid a $200 fine. Okay, October 22nd of 2007, he was arrested on 3 counts of selling a controlled substance in the first degree. 3 counts of selling a controlled substance in the second degree, 1 count of resisting arrest, including breaking an officer's thumb. It was said that he ran a cocaine business out of his apartment with his then girlfriend, John Covell. The defense tried to say, oh, it was temporary, oh, temporary insanity, oh, the insanity because of the drugs and the insanity, and you know how we've talked about how they always try to do the temporary insanity plea or the insanity. Unless you're really insane. Look, I know you have to be unhinged to murder people. Okay, I get that. But, not everybody's crazy. I'm trying to say just a bad person. Okay? They're just evil. Anyways, September 2nd of 2008, he was sentenced again to 19 years in prison. Now, it's sad that he got sentenced longer for his drug possession than he did for murder. And this is actually a problem that I'll address another time. Nice little tangent that I can run off on. But yes, he was sentenced to another 19 years, which is more than what he was sentenced for the first-degree manslaughter charge of Jennifer Levin. Okay. Yes, and if you're going to ask if he is out, no, he's not. His butt is still in jail. However, you know we're in 2023 now. His release date, earliest release date, is next year, January 25th. Yeah, that's only like 6 months, 7 months away. It ain't too far away. You get what I'm saying? Now, the latest he can be released, which is like when he would serve his like full 19 years, is October 15th of 2026. So within the next few years, homeboy's going to be back on the street. And he will be around 57 to 59, depending on when he gets released. Yeah, just hanging out in Sullivan Correctional Facility. And that is the story of the Preppy killer, Robert Emmett Chambers Jr. If you like this story, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also slap that little thumbs up button. And yeah, thank you guys for visiting. If you want to, leave a comment. Tell me something you want to see me cover. This is the final look. You guys take care of yourselves. Stay safe.